Because I bought. So the thing is, you just buy old books from a 1L or about to be a 2L law student because they sell them for cheap. So until the new edition comes out. So luckily I was able to get a fellow frat actually gave me a whole stack of books. Like the books are thick for your first year. And I got all of them for $100. That was my first time going to campus, and that was about 2 weeks before our orientation.
Got you. Talk about that transition a little bit. So you graduated undergrad in May. You had to figure out your living situation by when?
Orientation was like August.
So you had like 2 months off basically, and then you had to kind of start moving.
Yes.
Okay.
And
What was so you got moved in a little bit early. What was orientation week like?
so orientation week was like, first it was like nerve wracking. Everybody's like, oh, we run these, because it was like alumni, but it would be judges and the professors, and we trying to be professional. We don't know what to expect, and just,
Hmm.
and the crazy thing is, I don't remember much about orientation as far as all those long lectures that we had, like financial aid and blah blah blah. But I do remember, what I remember most is we had to do a service project.
Mm.
We had to volunteer, and we had a mixer and a cookout. I still have my picture from the first little cookout because I didn't know anybody but my roommate. Um and ironically, one of the girls in the pictures, I went to her wedding. Like,
Get out of here.
yeah, so it's just crazy because it's like, yo, I didn't even know that we would become friends and stuff like that, so that I'm invited to her wedding.
That's
Um,
dope.
but yeah, I remember we went to Durham Rescue Mission, and you had to sign up for Tom Sauce, and they like checked to see if you showed up. Which I don't know what would happen if you didn't, but I wasn't about to try it. I think now looking back, they won't gonna do nothing. But
Yeah.
we were scared. I was like, I'm thinking this is legit, which it was
Hmm.
legit. But I'm thinking, if I don't show up, I failed already and can't even be a lawyer.
Hmm. So you were young and got into law school. What was that first? Oh shit, I'm in grad school type moment.
Probably, I treated it like undergrad. I think
Hmm.
it wasn't until I moved up to Durham, and it was like, you're a full adult. Like, you're not an undergrad student. Like, you're an adult in grad
You
school.
got to do everything. You got to budget your finances.
Yes.
Make sure anything that you got to get taken care of, you got to do yourself,
Yes.
and then
Like,
you got
I
to make
don't
sure that you
have
studying on time.
the meal plan. I don't have the cap. Like, I have to do or eat but figure it out myself, because law school is not like undergrad where, oh, you got these swipes if you don't do such and such. And I wasn't living on campus. I had an actual real apartment. That was my first time having an apartment, like not in student apartments. I was living in When I was on campus, I stayed in the dorms, then I became a peer academic leader. So I was still in the dorms. I basically was like a right up under RA. And then
Hmm.
I went to the student apartment. So I never had a real apartment where I had to pay for water separate. That was just, what? Water?
Them extra bills coming in quick.
Utility? What?
Hmm.
Separate? Like, that was just baffling to me. And I think that was when it was like, yeah, you're a grad student now. You're not a college student.
Hmm. So in law school, they call the years what? It's like 1L,
hmm So it's
2L, and
1L,
3L, right?
2L, 3L, and then if you're part time, it's 1LE. The E is for evening, 2LE, 3LE, 4LE.
Oh, so you can do law school part time. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, the evening program, now they have an extra year, but their classes are usually ranging from like 5 to 8 or 5 to like 9.
That's pretty
Um,
nuts because dental school, medical school, as far as I know, ain't no part time.
yeah, yeah.
Talk about. So you told me something pretty crazy that law school there's like a curve for each class, and your class kind of determines that curve. Um,
Yes.
so talk about that a little bit because when you told me, it sounded pretty doggone scary.
So what the curve is, so for one, every school has a curve that they're on. Duke and UNC are on the B curve. North Carolina Central University is on the C curve. So what that means is whatever the class average is, and it's important to note too that we are divided up into sections. So section 101 for Central was the we have a summer start. If you want to get a little hang of summer school, I'm at law school, you could do summer start and where you would take like 2 classes. So they were in their own little group. And then it was
Mm.
101. So 101, then it was 102 and 103. It was 3 sections when I was in law school. And I was in section 102. Shout out to 102. And so whoever made the highest grade on whatever the test was, well, assessment is what they called it, that was the A. So if the highest grade was a 75, that's the A. Whatever
Mm.
the class average is, whatever curve your school is on, that's what it would be. So if the average is a 57 for Central, that's a C. For
Mm.
Duke and UNC, that would be a B. And then you fall in line through that. So if you got that 75 as the A and the 57 as the C, if you got higher than that 57, then you were between like C plus, C plus to the A. But if you got below that 57, just know you did not pass that assessment. And yeah,
So depending on your class, you could be making good grades, but then still not meet the cutoff just because your class has a really high average.
correct. Yep.
That's pretty
So
brutal.
yeah.
Tell us how many exams did y'all have that 1L year? Was it spaced out a lot, or did y'all have them like weekly, like some dental schools do?
So 1L year is the year you have the most assessments, and that was three. That
Really?
that
They
that was
must
the
be
most.
big. They gotta be big.
That was three. Then your 2L and 3L year, you get two at the beginning.
That's insane. That's
And that's
insane.
we didn't do assignments like to raise your score or whatever. You could it wasn't like, let me do extra credit. No, no, no.
But
You
that
take the test, you either pass or fail. You better hope you pass on that next one to bring it up. Like that's what it was.
and that's why you were telling me that a lot of times people have to repeat law school, and it's pretty
Hmm.
common, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about common,
Oh,
but
it's
I
not
will
common.
say a lot of people were more than I thought was like, oh yeah, I was here like 4 years ago and they started back over. So Central's cutoff is if you drop below a 2.0 at any point, you could be in your last year of law school, whatever, you're getting kicked out.
That's insane.
So that's why it was weird when we was talking about the dental stuff, how it's kind of like once you're in, you're good. In law school, well, at least at
Yeah,
Central,
it's
you're on your
it's so
toes.
hard to fail out. Like they well, I'm not every school, but a lot of schools they have a big investment in you because they can't replace you once you're gone. So they try to make sure that you have a chance to remediate. They try to make sure you have resources, especially if you're trying to do better. Because most people, like with enough time and practice, you're gonna get everything. But it also kind of works against the betterment of society because sometimes you do have incompetent people that still slip through the
Mm-hmm.
cracks because they were allowed to remediate and things like that. I hear about that all. It's always somebody in the dental class where people are like I would not let them work on me, which is pretty crazy. But it's the failure rate for dental school is something like 1% in terms of getting
Oh,
kicked out of school. It's really small. Like you got to really mess up.
hmm.
So it's crazy that Central's like, nah, let's take every opportunity we can to get you out of here.
Yeah, and I think that's what I mean. It pushes us to be prepared, and I guess with that hanging over our head every day, even in our last year, like it's like we gotta get through here. We gotta get through it. And not only get through it, but like at least get through it with a C. Cause C's get degrees.
What were your classes like? Was it kind of the same throughout all 3 years, or was it a different environment every year?
So I will say the first year